Welcome back to Obsolete Automotive. I'm Austin, and today's video is, can we get this 1957 Dodge Texan to start and maybe even drive? I got this car back in July of 2023, and I really haven't done anything with it since then. It's just kind of been sitting here. Haven't even tried to start it or see if the motor turns or anything, so I kind of don't know what all is going on with it. Maybe it'll be easy start, maybe it won't be. I do have a whole video on this car that I posted earlier, and I'll post a link to that here in the video and in the description, so you can kind of get the ins and outs of this car and kind of the show and tell, I guess, if you would say that. If you like this video and others, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, be sure to check out the Patreon. Any support will help, and I appreciate that. With that being said, let's get to work. Now, some people think you got to have all kinds of stuff. You got to do all this prep work to get a car to start. But all you really need is power and fuel. And in this case, I have a bonus of some starting fluid. And then, where did I put it? A piece of sandpaper for the points. And that's about it. First thing we're going to do is see what's going on with this engine. You do want to check to see if there is oil in the engine, and it has oil that's rather thick and old, but it's in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the battery in. Then we'll pop off the distributor cap. And look at the ignition components there. And they actually look really nice. So this is where the sandpaper comes into play. Just fold it over on itself so you get sandpaper on both sides. And then you'll spread the points apart. Stick the piece of sandpaper down in there. Let them close on itself. And just kind of pull them up. You can see all that corrosion that's built up on those points comes right off. This is some 2000 grit sandpaper, so you don't want anything too abrasive. So we'll do that a couple times to clean it off. So we'll do this a few times, basically until the sandpaper comes back clean. That's pretty good. I will take note of this really windshield washer, but this accelerator linkage is not original, so eventually I'll have to fix that, but it'll be good for now. There's all kinds of interesting things they've done here. This carburetor might not even be the original one either. The choke's not hooked up. Go ahead and pull this air cleaner off. The choke was wide open. There's supposed to be a clip on this automatic choke here, but it's missing, but we'll stick it in the hole just so the choke stays shut. I'll just leave this off for now. Then we'll stick the rotor button back on. And we can test to see if our points, that's a really long battery cable. See if the points are working. So if we turn the ignition switch on, we should be able to see the points sparking. Pull this back off so you can see the spark. So that means these points are going to work. So we'll put the cap back on. Next, we'll double check to see if there's any fuel in the tank. You don't want to start cars on really old fuel. It can actually stick the valves and cause you to have bent push rods and all that. So you don't want to use that old goo gas. And you can tell when you smell it, it just smells really bad. You know if you know. You can just get a test smell. It does smell a little old, but give the car a shake. If you put your ear up to here, there's no gas sloshing. Some of these cars, you actually take a flashlight and look in here. This one's got a curved filler neck, so you can't really see it, but it's bone dry. So I'm gonna put some gas in it. If there was old gas in there, you'd want to drain it out, because that old varnished up gas can cause a lot of problems. And this car does actually have a new gas tank and stuff in it. I don't know if they ever actually put gas in this car. It hasn't ran in a long time. At least probably 15 years or more. And the new safety cans kind of take forever. Okay. They also painted right over the gas cap and everything else when they painted this car. Let's see if it even spins over. Very slowly. So give it a little bit of starting fluid. And let's see what happens. This might be one of the easiest cars I've ever started, actually. Oh, starter's not catching. Okay, maybe it's going to be one of the hardest cars I've ever started. Guess I should have said this was going to be the easiest car I ever started. There we go. Okay. Let's give it a healthy dose of fluid. Put some in the bowl too. This starter is going to be a problem. It's got my jump box here. We'll see if this can give it a little more juice. This battery I think is a little weak. Really gonna have to look into this starter. Let's take this off. Hold on a second. What is this hooked to? Alternator and the coil? Huh. Well, that might be why it's not pulling any fuel from the tank. This fuel pump might be bad. Got my auxiliary fuel tank, which is a snapper lawnmower tank, actually. And this is so you can do a gravity feed. Just gonna stick that there on the end. Tighten it down. So I've just disconnected that aftermarket electric fuel pump. So we're just going to see if we can get the car running on this auxiliary tank for now. And since it's gravity fed, I'll put it up high. That way it'll, see, works really good. Get it to, there we go, that should be good. Now we should be able to have fuel to the carburetor. Make sure this isn't anywhere where it's going to get hit by anything. This hose is really long because I use it for many different uses. Should have put on gloves. Oh well. Now that we know this car is definitely going to start, I went ahead and fixed some of the issues that I noticed. First, this vacuum line was not hooked up to anything, so I went ahead and used this fancy piece of vacuum tubing and a wood screw so it wouldn't have a huge vacuum leak. I zip tied the choke rod to the choke on the carburetor so it won't fall off. I disconnected this electric fuel pump that didn't seem to work. I've since hooked up my gravity feed auxiliary tank and currently just waiting for my battery to charge and we can give this another go. This throttle linkage leaves much to be desired. I'm pretty sure this carburetor came off of a later car, judging by the throttle here and the fact that it's got the mounts for a stud. These early cars have this screw clamp. Later cars just had a stud with a wing nut on top, so they probably robbed this carburetor off of, say, like a, you know, early 60s car, maybe like 62 and up. MoPar perhaps. Just noticed this is disconnected too. I'll just go ahead and hook that up. Oh, and that's just dangling there too. So there's going to be some various things that need to be done to this car before it's road ready. I mean, that's not the best setup for your throttle return spring. I don't even know why they have the nut and bolt on there. You could just loop that right on there. It's not going to matter. I could see this bending or breaking at some point. Another thing to note is these late 50s Dodge, Chrysler, and DeSoto, I believe too, they actually have a mechanical gauge for the oil pressure. So a lot of times you'll want to replace this hose before it explodes and sprays engine oil everywhere. So keep that in mind if you have one of these cars. You want to go ahead and get a new one of those. You can see this one's already a little sketchy as it is. I did notice that the exhaust manifold was broke and re-welded back together. So that's probably going to need to be fixed at some point, I bet. We'll see how long that lasts. In case you're wondering, this is a 325 cubic inch poly V8, which was pretty much the standard engine in these Dodges. And fun fact, the block is essentially the same block as the Hemi engines. They just have these polyspherical heads, but you can actually make this block into a Hemi if you have all the right parts. But I'm not doing that. It's just a fun fact. Actually, I wonder. Another thing, when these cars sit for a while, sometimes the float will stick, so you can get a, oh, well, this carburetor is loose, and it's not the mount on the intake, it's just loose. So this thing runs, it probably won't run too well with this huge vacuum leak. I think this thing is flooded. Hold that choke open, see if that helps. Definitely getting some fuel now. If you take a look when I work the throttle, see the fuel? All right, let's see if this thing will start again. See if this thing will move. Seems to go into gear. Well, that proves that this car does run and drive. You probably couldn't get very far, honestly. The carburetor's only really squirting out of one jet. Has probably a huge vacuum leak because the body is loose on the base of the carburetor, so you got to take that off to fix that. It's also the wrong carburetor, the wrong throttle linkage, all that. So I need to get a proper carburetor, proper linkage for that, as well as fix the fuel pump issue, get it running off the tank. Obviously need some coolant in the radiator, see if there's any leaks. I'm not sure if they drained it or if it just leaked out, or I guess if it had been long enough, maybe it evaporated out. I don't know. So that's something that I have to look into. Transmission seems to work. All in all, it really shouldn't take much to get it back on the road. The brakes don't work, so I have to go through the brakes, which probably means they all need to be redone. Yeah, really wasn't too hard to get this car started. Like I said, you don't need a whole lot. Fuel, spark, that's pretty much it. Fuel, spark, and I guess you could say air. And then it runs. You don't need a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know how many cars started over the years. They've been dormant for a while. These old cars, file the points, put some gas in it, get a battery in that thing, and it'll usually run. So this car's gonna need some help in the future, but I'd been after one of these Dodge Texans for a while. They only made them between 56 and 58, so they're kind of hard to find, mainly because they were only sold in Texas. And it was a factory deal. It wasn't just a made-up thing. There's actually factory MoPar part numbers for the emblems and everything. And there's not a whole lot of information on these cars, but be sure to check out the video of this car when I brought it home. There's kind of a walkthrough in and out of it. I'll post a link in the video as well as a description, so you can check that out and see where this car came from and all that. And as I do more work, I will post future videos on this car, hopefully to the point to where it's roadworthy, and then probably taking it on some trips and things. So hopefully we get this car to the point where I can drive it on the road and enjoy it, because that's the main thing. I've been after one of these forever, so I finally got one. Had a couple in my grasp before, but kind of got screwed out of them through various means. But this one I was able to actually get. So I want to get this thing back on the road just because there aren't very many of them, and I don't really know of any other 57s that are actually on the road or anything. You can Google it, you just can't find these cars, but they were a real factory authorized thing. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow on Instagram at Obsolete Automotive. There's also a new Facebook group. I'll post the links to that in the description. And if you want to show some support, I'd be grateful if you check out the Patreon, and feel free to donate to the cause, if you will. It is a lot of work and everything to do this, so anything helps. But I'll post a link to that in the description as well. But anyways, hope you enjoyed it, and catch you on the next one.